Why, hello there, Trailblazers fans. Welcome into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you today. Getting you ready for Trailblazers versus Pelicans. Blazers down in NOLA for game 4 of their 5-game road trip. Pelicans will be without Zion and Brandon Ingram and Trey Murphy. DeJounte Murray will play, though. So there's that. We'll talk about all that later. Blazers has some injury notes on them as well. According to our insider, Sean Hyken, does look like last they update, Donovan Clingan listed as questionable due to rest. The young kid's getting too tired for the game. I'm joking, but he really is listed as questionable for rest, maybe opening up the door for Robert Williams to see a little playing time in this one. He has been a healthy scratch over the last few games as Coach Billups has gone to that 8-man rotation to get the job done. Once again, this is Blazers Game Day. If you want to join the conversation, head on over to youtube.com and get in on the chat there. Type in Roof City Radio. We'll pop right up. You can also hit us up on social. Chris J. Burkhardt, B_slot is the name of the guy on the other side of the glass. And before we get to Blazers Pelicans, let's look at what went down just a few nights ago in Detroit. It was a really, really good game for your Portland Trailblazers, except for the final score as they fall to the Pistons 118-115 in a game that it really felt like they dominated for large stretches, right? I mean, their largest lead of the night was 22 points. The largest lead for Detroit was just 5, right? But then they did that second half comeback thing where they clawed back and the Blazers couldn't hold them off. And you look at what Detroit was able to do. Tobias Harris had 17 points. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 26, including a couple clutch threes. He was 6 of 9 from beyond the arc. In fact, he had a very, very unique stat line. That was the second most points ever scored by a player who did not record another stat in the box score. What do I mean by that? Look at Tim Hardaway's box score for a sec, friends. He had 26 points. No free throw attempts, no rebounds, no assists, no steals, no blocks. But he had 26 points. I can't remember what the actual number was. The only person to have that same stat line but have more points was Michael Redd. Jalen Duren had 14 points and 12 rebounds, 32 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists from Cade Cunningham. He's been pretty good. And Simon Fontecchio, he had 10 points, 6 rebounds as well. Looking at the Blazers side of things, Toumani Camara, a very solid 12 points. He also had 3 rebounds and an assist, 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists from Denny Avdia, only 1 turnover. That's much a very good thing to see after the turnover games he's had recently. 18 points, 14 rebounds from DeAndre Ayton. Shaedon Sharpe had 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists, flirted with a triple-double. And 36 points, 9 assists from Anthony Simons. So it's really good to see him kind of find it. Like he's been really, really good as of late. Chris Murray also, I thought, had an incredible game. You can look at the box score. Again, this is kind of a Chris Murray game where you look at the box score and like, what do you mean he had an incredible game? 11 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, it was good, but it's not really anything to write home about. I mean, it's the fact that he went out there and played 28 minutes and he's been going. Like I said, I told you this guy's last game. I mean, he gets DMPs and he gets 4 minutes a night and then he goes out there and plays darn near 30 and he's ready to go and he's making good plays. And that's exactly what you want from Chris Murray. Donovan Clingan had just 4 points, 5 rebounds. And again, maybe he is just getting fatigued because he is questionable with rest tonight. And then Scoot Henderson had a pretty bad game. 0 points, 3 assists, 4 turnovers, just 1 rebound. One of his worst games of the year. Definitely his worst game of the year if we're using game score as a metric. And I'll talk about that a little bit later because it has sparked some good debate over on the social media apps there. And where does that rank? Like it was an abysmal game, but is that to be expected for a second-year guard? I was arguing with a person on Blue Sky who said it's terrible, and my counter argument was no, it's really not. It happens far more often than you think, and I'll tell you why. It'll probably be our Coors cold hard fact. But I want to go back to the good, and Chris Murray was part of the good. You got to love him going out there and doing exactly what the team needs in those minutes. And I love the fact that it doesn't matter whether he is playing 4 minutes or 24 or 30 in this case, he's just ready to go. And he may not be the best shooter, best defender, any of that, but he's a big body and he makes the right play. And I think that's what matters the most for Chris Murray. He had those 3 assists, he had 4 rebounds, 11 points, not a single turnover, right? Takes care of the ball, makes the right choices, doesn't try to do too much, and you love to see that. So let's take a listen, actually, because Brooke Olzendam and the media in Detroit got a chance to catch up with Murray after the game.
I know, obviously, you would prefer to win, but you played great tonight. How'd you feel about your performance?
I felt good. Felt good out there. It's good to just get back in rhythm and play extended minutes. So I felt good defensively. I just wanted to do what I can, like when I got in, to help put our team in a position to win. And say that I'll just make shots and just make the right play on both sides of the ball.
Let's try that again. I don't know why it cut me off mid-question, but let's start again.
Say that I'll just make shots and just make the right play on both sides of the ball.
You went down hard on that and one. Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I mean, wrist is good, shoulder's good. So I didn't feel my shoulder at first. I thought something was messed up, so I looked at it, make sure it was straight, and I was all right.
It's good to know.
So it's good when your shoulder isn't dislocated. You talk about trying to do the most with extended minutes. It really seems like every time you get in the game, even if it's not extended, it seems like you're making plays that make it harder to get you off the floor.
Yeah, no, that's the biggest thing. Like you said, just making plays, whether it's 1, 2, 3, different plays that kind of change the game. That's what I want to do, offensively, defensively, just be in the right place at the right time. I feel like I've been doing a good job of that. I feel like when I've been in the last couple games, it's helped me get confidence. But I've tried to take a charge today. Usually that gets me going. Getting hit feels good, and that kind of gets me going too. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But no, but I feel like the last 2 games I've gotten a good rhythm in doing that.
You kind of talked about coming in having an impact right away. Like, I know sometimes guys talk about kind of wanting to ease into the game, but you don't really have that option, particularly when it comes to shooting. Like, you came out and I think you got a 3 right away. Is there any hesitation there at all? It doesn't seem like there is.
No, I kind of switched. Like when I've been on the bench, I just kind of put a heat pack on my hand and try to get ready to go as fast as possible. So I want to come in firing. I've been working on that, and shooting before practice, and I'm gonna let it fly if I'm open.
Is there a way to practice that? Like, do you have to be like someone surprised me and tell me I just have to go shoot a shot? Like, how do you kind of prepare that way?
Yeah, usually when I go in on my own, sometimes I'll just kind of start shooting threes right away. And Ryan Gomes and me have been doing a good job of that. Like when I get in, we just do a couple form shots, but we usually get just right to threes, and that's been helping a lot.
So the heating pad on your hand, is that an NBA trick I didn't know about?
I don't know. I kind of just noticed like when I get into games, I'm a little cold, so I wanted to kind of switch it up and make myself a little warm. I kind of tricked myself into thinking that I've been in for the last 5-10 minutes.
You need to get a sponsorship.
I know, maybe. We'll see.
And there you hear Chris Murray, the full Chris Murray that time. That was my bad. Brenden instantly popped in my ear. He's like, "Did I do something bad?" No. Usually I would throw you under the bus and blame you, but that was my bad. We got the dumb little thing we use to play audio. It's like if you aren't zoomed all the way out, it only plays the clip you're zoomed in on.
Yeah, technology, right?
Well, hey, if I'm editing in Premiere and I'm zoomed in, if I play, it just keeps playing. This one doesn't. Throws me off.
Just how it goes, I guess.
Throws me off. But that was a good game, obviously, from Chris Murray, and they didn't get the win, but there are things to like. And again, there's bad. Like Scoot Henderson's game was objectively awful. Again, we'll analyze that a little bit more throughout the show here. But you would have hoped the Blazers could have got the win. But I do want to point out again, though, that this Detroit Pistons team is not the Pistons team that you think of in general, because they have been really, really bad for the last few years. They already have more wins right now than they did all of last season, right? They are improving steadily. You like what you're doing down there. Coach Bickerstaff has them playing well. They're sitting at 18-18 right now. I mean, this is a team that is currently a play-in team in the Eastern Conference. So it's not as if this is the 10-72 Detroit Pistons, or just sitting there bottom tier every single year right now. When again, they absolutely have been. We have seen it over the last handful of years. You go to 22-23, they were 17-65, the worst record in the NBA. You go to last year, they were 14-68, the worst record in the NBA. You go back 3 seasons, they were 23-59, the second worst record in the Eastern Conference, the third worst record in the league overall. So this team's bad. A 20-win season in 2020 and 2021. In 2019, they were 20-win team. I mean, this is you got to go back to the 2018-2019 season was the last time this team had a 500 record at the end of the season. They were 41-41. So that's not even a winning record. That's just 500. So that's what you kind of think of when you think of the Detroit Pistons, right? And so it's easy to look at what goes on here and go, well, that's a bad Detroit Pistons team. They're not right now. They are much better than advertised. And in fact, you go all the way back to the 2015-2016 season when the Pistons ended the season 44-38. That's their last winning season. That's pretty incredible. But the Blazers went in there and fought them. Again, this is a much improved Detroit Pistons team that's going to make a team work for it. Cade Cunningham's turning the corner, and they're playing good ball. They're playing good ball. Knocked the Blazers kind of off their flow late in the game. Were able to claw back, and they got the dub. I do like a lot of the things the Blazers did, but again, there are things that you can work on, and we'll probably talk about them here as we get to our keys to the game and everything included, because I want to see what the Blazers can do tonight, because they got a New Orleans Pelicans team that comes in, and the injury bug has bitten them again. I mean, it bit them from day one in the season, and it really hasn't backed off. And this is a team that Portland has played pretty decently this season. They lost to them 105-103 back on October 25th in the second game of the year, but it was a pretty good game from your Trailblazers, all things considered, until that fourth quarter when they were outscored 30-19 and the Pelicans were able to get the dub. But then they played them 2 nights later, right? That was the Pelicans were in town. It was a back-to-back games. And then the Blazers got the 125-103 victory. So this team can beat the Pelicans, and that Pelicans team was had Brandon Ingram, had Zion Williamson, Trey Murphy was out, but they had some guys. They had some guys. Not tonight. Not tonight, as the Pelicans are hurting, as we said last update. Zion, Murphy, and BI all not playing tonight in New Orleans. This is Blazers Game Day. If you want to join the conversation, head on over to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, where Air Weldon and Kirk are going off. Guys, I haven't even had a chance to look at the chat, but you know what? I'm going to look at it here during this break, get caught up, and I'll talk to you guys. All right, but when we come back, it's going to be time for the Coach's Corner. We're going to hear what Coach Billups had to say following that loss in Detroit. We still got our Coors Cold Hard Facts, which hint it's about Scoot and bad performances from second-year guards. And our keys to the game will come up a little bit later. This is Blazers Game Day presented by Coors Light on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here. You will not believe the things Brenden and I talk about during the break. Things we wouldn't talk about in front of polite company, but I'm going to out him right here. Brenden admitted that he's a Duck fan, guys. It took a lot of prying, but I got it out of him. got it out
I
of
think
him.
you might have to go for something a little more believable, my man.
There's room on the wagon. I'll let you on.
I think my family listening would start shaming me, Chris. It'd be like, Game of Thrones, shame.
Hey, I need you to tell me all the mad S that they talk on me after they
But I
listen to
love
this.
it.
Hey, Chris, what the hell is he talking about? That's ridiculous. I got in trouble yesterday at my house, by the way, Brenden, because I told my daughter how I want to start the Damn Duck podcast with you.
Okay, yeah.
I told you, you know the Ninoing, right? Have you heard of the Ninoing? That's right. So I got Nino'd for saying the D word. I'm like, no, like a beaver dam, like a dam you see in the water. I wasn't using the bad word, but I want to get this podcast or this show on iHeart with Brenden, and I got in trouble for calling it the Damn Duck podcast. So
That's funny, man. Your girl's keeping you on your toes, man. I love it.
Parenthood, my man, parenthood. All right, Brenden, it is time now for the Coach's Corner.
For the latest on tonight's lineup, injuries, and matchup, let's head to the Coach's Corner with Chauncey Billups.
I'm still absolutely upset at the missed opportunity to have a platypus trophy. I know they had it like at one point, but like bring it back, like all those college football rivalries that have trophies. Like here's a battle axe or whatever the hell they give away. Like
It would be cool.
Like
and to be honest, Chris, now from what I've heard on the ground, and maybe you've heard otherwise, I don't think too many people would be upset if they went back to the old name. So,
it is real.
Maybe worth checking into, taking the temperature. That's all I'm saying.
It's real interesting how quickly that turned back, right? And I got it.
I don't know.
I got it in the moment, but even
Me too.
I've got back to it's the Civil War. To
right.
me. Like,
So, you hear enough of the ground support from the fans. I'm just saying, I would maybe it's a non-starter, but the temperature should be taken. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Times change, my man. They change. Some things never change, like a Chauncey Billups post-game press conference. Let's take a listen.
Coach, obviously a tough way to lose, especially after you guys played so hard. What did you think about the performance tonight?
Yeah, I was proud of it. I thought we fought hard. We played good. We fought hard. There was only a couple areas, where they turned up their pressure, and I thought we lost our cool a little bit. I really did cost us with that challenge in the third because we only had 2 timeouts after that. So that's one thing that I regret, and I wish I could get a do-over on. I thought it cost us because guys have to play some really long stretches, and at the end of the game, you want your guys to be fresh. I don't think they were that fresh, but you got to give Detroit credit. They got down big early, and they turned up the pressure. They sped us up a little bit, and then we finally calmed down. We go into the lead in the halftime with a 9-point lead. I thought we were in good shape, and I felt that way the rest of the way. But you give them credit. They played well, but I was proud of our guys. I thought we fought extremely hard.
I know Ant wishes he could get that last play back, but what do you say to a guy that puts the team on his back, season high 36 points? What do you say to him after a game like that?
We was in a deficit at that point anyway. We kind of had to play perfect basketball at that point. Ant was amazing. Not just scoring the ball, but making plays. They blitzed him a ton. He was patient. He got off of it. I thought our secondary playmaking was pretty good in the blitzes. So, he did a good job. I was proud of him. We moved the ball. 32 assists is I think, a season high for us. We've been talking about just playing for each other. And I was proud of that as well.
So there's a lot of trust that you have in Chris Murray that he played those minutes, especially late. What do you think of him?
Well, look, Chris has been playing great. He really has. When he doesn't play, it's not because he hadn't played well. It's just because that's just the NBA, and there's some other really good players in front of him. But I trust him. He comes in, he plays pretty much mistake-free basketball every time you put him in there. He hits some really big shots for us, too. He plays some really good defense. So, I definitely trust Chris, and I was happy that he was able to play so well.
What have you thought about the starts you guys have been getting off to lately? It seems like particularly offensively, you guys have really it seems like you found a groove early on in games.
Yeah, I think our starts have been good. I really do. I think more than anything, defensively, not letting teams get comfortable early. And then, the shot making is obviously always a plus. But it's more about starting the game with a defensive focus and not letting teams just kind of get what they want early, because in any game, they're just trying to test you and see what kind of fight they're going to have that night. So I think we've been really good with that, and I've been proud of that because we've had to work on that. We've had some really tough starts.
8 assists, I think, tonight for Shaden as well. You talk about kind of secondary playmaker. I know he's a guard, but what did you see out of him tonight? And it seems like he is just creating a little bit more for other guys lately as well.
Yeah, Shea is an underrated playmaker. He really is. I'm starting to let him handle a lot more in pick and rolls. I think it's beneficial for us because he can really pass out of it. He there's a lot of gravity when he's out there. They're going to be putting 2 people on him. He's big, so he can kind of see over some of those coverages. I was really proud of his playmaking tonight and only 1 turnover. So we'll keep getting better with that. I'll keep going to that a lot more.
With the game aside, what did you think about the tributes, especially seen from your former teammates?
Yeah, it was awesome. It really was. The only downside of it is, as a coach, you can't see the videos, because you're in the timeout and you're drawing up plays, and so I'm sure I'll see them afterwards. But it was awesome, and it always is when I'm able to come back here and be honored like this. The fans love me. I love the fans. We've had this relationship for 20 years now, and going. So I just love being able to come back here. It's like my home,
And there you hear Coach Billups following the loss to the Pistons. Over in the YouTube chat, Kirk asked, would you guys trade Ayton for Zion? And that's an interesting question. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to get.
New Orleans?
I don't know what you're going to get for DeAndre Ayton, but here's the deal. If DeAndre Ayton is not part of your future and you don't know what you're getting for him, and New Orleans called you and said, I would give you Zion Williamson for DeAndre Ayton, and you get DA out of town and you're opening up the door for Robert Williams and Klingon to get those minutes, which is what you think you want, you'd almost be dumb not to. Like, if you really think about it.
Like, if they offered you that straight up without draft, yeah, absolutely.
Like, if there's no other things attached, like, you'd almost be dumb not to. Here's the thing with Zion, man. Zion gets a bad rap, obviously, because of the injury stuff. But when he's healthy, he's all NBA level caliber player. Like, he is phenomenal. You take that risk. DA's not. He's not, has never showed a glimpse of being an all NBA type talent. And at some point, maybe you kick that curse to the curb. It's a good question, Kirk. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's an easy yes, but there's plenty of people who would say it's an easy no. I'll tell you that much. Man, thanks for making me think on the fly, man. You got me just scratching my head here for a second. But even if he was hurt, like, gosh, if you gave me 50 games a year of Zion, I'd be fine with that. Oh man, Kirk didn't know he was going to throw me off my game with such a good question, but it's one that you got to kind of ponder, because that's like, you do have to, that is a serious, you have to weigh the ups and downs, the pros and cons. Like, that's good stuff. I mean, he's only played 7 games this year, which is bad.
I mean, I understand New Orleans is probably frustrated and it's come down even less, but Chris, you're probably familiar because I remember when the chatter was huge. You remember when New Orleans was supposedly entertaining trading Zion for Portland's 3rd pick that they eventually did with Scoot Henderson. So this is not the first time we've seen Zion's name connected to Portland. I remember at the time when we was in the mornings, I was excited about that opportunity. Now, that being said, unless they're looking to just get off the salary, because that's the intriguing thing. We talk about the new salary cap, trading restrictions and all that. Their salaries are probably within spitting distance. So that's intriguing, but what do you see as the potential for New Orleans just wanting to wash their hands of it?
Yeah, New Orleans is in a weird spot, man, because this season just kind of folded up on them, man. It wasn't supposed to be this bad, but then the injuries hit them. And I also think the Zion situation is they're really high on Trey. He's a guy who can play that 3 and the 4, can move around. They got Herb, who's a great defender. Like, they got some guys, right? And they could afford to move off Zion and open a door for a guy that they really like. Unfortunately, that guy also hurt right now too, right? So that's the rough part. I thought had this team been like healthy going in, man, that DA seemed like a logical fit for New Orleans as a trade partner, but then New Orleans, like I said, they just kind of fell apart. So that's the tough part. But you look at the trade prospects, right, Brenden? Their contracts are straight up doable. They're within $2 million of each other. Portland would be taking on
Even better than I thought.
yeah, Portland would be taking on $2.7 million extra in that deal, and they would still be under the first apron after it. So that's an intriguing question. Appreciate that question, Kirk. Like Eric Weldon said, he's kind of like you. I'd go back in time, trade the third pick for Zion. I remember those talks too.
It was chattering.
I was also felt like I was a minority because I said the same thing back then. Was that the third pick is an unproven commodity? I know what Zion is.
It's true. I remember that talk was loud.
Yeah,
Chris.
there's health risks there, but I know what Zion is. And you can't tell me with the way this team's playing, get a little defense and Klingon, Zion doing his thing with Denny pushing the ball, Scoot playing above, or Shea playing above the rim, Tumani locking. Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. So, shout out once again, Kirk. I appreciate that question. If you want to ask questions like that and throw me off my game on live radio, head on over to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and you can get in on the chat there. You can also hit me up on social at Chris J. Burkhardt. We're going to take a quick break here on Blazers Game Day, though. When we come back, it's time for my Coors Cold Hard Fact. I'm going to tell you that abysmal game from Scoot Henderson, I really don't think it was that bad. And I'm going to tell you why. Coming up on Blazers Game Day, presented by Coors Light, on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with Brenden Slaughter, who's I just found out, no joking now about him being a Duck fan, but his family has some ties down there to the LA area. So some thoughts and everything down there with people being impacted by those wildfires. That's a nasty situation over there. When you hit something that can move like a wildfire, you get high winds and a population like that. It's nasty. And I know my family is from Hawaii. They don't live on Maui, but I know how much that can impact a community with what happened in Lahaina too. So nasty stuff, man. Nasty
Yeah, tried
stuff.
to stay in contact, but I've heard things like, cell phone towers are hit and miss too. So thankfully my family's a little bit further south in the Long Beach area, but I've just heard from a lot of people down there. It's scary times, and we here in Oregon, Chris, are no stranger to wildfires, during
No,
our
not at all.
seasons. So yeah,
My sister-in-law's house was at level 3 with a fire.
There you go,
About a
exactly.
half mile from her house a few years ago when it was going big. We all remember Eagle Creek. I mean, I remember waking up to
Yeah.
layers of ash. And my family has a house over in Central Oregon that the fire came about a mile away from it last summer, and that was pretty close too. So yeah, man, it's no fun at all. So definitely praying for everybody down there. But Brenden, back on the train here of basketball. It's time now for our Coors Cold Hard Facts.
It's time for the Cold Hard Facts, presented by Coors Light, Mountain Cold Refreshment. Choose chill, celebrate responsibly.
Daniel on YouTube says, happy Wednesday. And Air Weldon just laughed and says, it's Wednesday? Oh, crap. And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally in that boat, too, where I forget what day of the week it is. Yeah. Timmy says, 2 more sleeps till SmackDown. That's right. WWE SmackDown coming into town. Have some fun. Wish I were going, but I'm going to be making dinner for Mom's birthday. My buddy who works for WWE is like, you guys are coming, right? I get to say hi to you and see you. I'm like, nope. It's Mom's birthday dinner, and she requested that I make dinner. You cannot say no to Mom. Brendan's in the same boat. What Mom says goes. Yeah, I mean, she wouldn't do it because your mom loves you, right? And so does mine. But like, Beavers were playing in the national championship game, and it just so happened to be your mom's birthday. And she's like, Brenden, you make my favorite breakfast. I need you here. You can't be at the game. You can't say no to Mom, Brenden.
Oh no! Like I said, again, they're each to their own, Chris. But I am a well-known, well-described mama's boy. So no, I would I'd find a way to do it and then still make the game. So, but yeah, absolutely, do whatever Mom needs.
I made you your favorite meal, Mom. It's in the freezer. Just defrost it, put it in the microwave.
I got plenty to catch. Love you.
It's gonna taste the same. I promise.
But yeah, oh yeah, totally.
I promise. Okay, now I was talking about bad games. Right? And that's where we're going to go in the Coors Cold Hard Facts here, because I want to point out that, yes, while Scoot Henderson's game the other night was bad, it might not be as hard as you would think to find games like that for a second-year guard. So we got into this debate here with Sean. It was the opinionated wino on Blue Sky. And he made a comment about how I don't know if I've ever seen a game that bad for a guy at this point in his career. And then, I had to remind him that, he's only a second-year guard. But his game score, which is an advanced stat metric, came in at like negative 2.6, okay? Which is bad. That is bad. But I want to point out, too, in his second year, C.J. McCollum, who is also coming off the bench like Scoot is, he had 9 negative game scores through his first 28 games of the season. Scoot, through his first 28 games of the season, has 1, and that was that negative 2.6. And of those 9 that CJ had, 3 of them were worse than that negative 2.6 that Scoot had. 3 of them in those 28 games. So far more games and worse games that Scoot had. Scoot has had 1 game all year that was a negative game score. Now, having a positive game score is not always great. I mean, if it's at a positive 1, like, yeah, it's positive, but it's not great. But the point is, they're not that hard to find. And you could start going through and look at things like if you don't want to use advanced metrics, you just want to look at other simple stats, right? I can point out that even though Scoot has struggled, turnovers being one of them, I think he has the second most turnovers among second-year guards, right? But Scoot, among second-year guards, Scoot is 6th in points, 2nd in assists, and 6th in steals. Among second-year guards who are coming off the bench, which is what Scoot is doing right now, he's 3rd in points, 1st in assists, 2nd in steals. So I think Mike Richmond on the Locked In podcast said it the other day that Scoot is looking like a very good backup guard right now. Not a starter or a star, but he's looking like a very good backup guard. And we sit here and we debate everything, and I want to know, when you're debating whether Scoot is good or bad, are we debating him relative to being the third pick, or are we debating him relative to other second-year guards in general? Because if we're debating him just on this metric of being the third overall pick, then yes, it's been a little bit of a letdown. We would like to have more. If we're basing it just on second-year guards, which he is, his numbers hold up that he's actually having a pretty solid season. Also a pretty solid season. So that's just my take there. And Air Weldon says, CJ also wasn't projected to be a big contributor until Wes and Aflalo went out. Oh, gosh, the Aaron Aflalo era. Thanks for reminding us of that. Scoot is on a better trajectory at this time than CJ. And also, Air Weldon, CJ, though he did miss the first half of the year, right, his rookie year dealing with the foot injury, that rookie year of his, he was 22 years old. With 3+ years, not a full 4, because, again, the injury that senior year at Lehigh, but a full 3+ years of college basketball experience under his belt. And he came in at 22 years old, which is 2 years older than Scoot is right now. So those things matter. And then I could go through, and we found a couple others, not just based off game score, right? But Russell Westbrook had really bad games his second year, and that ended up working out for him, even though a lot of people want to call him a Pat statter, right? I could go through, and I was finding games from Jason Kidd. I found a game from Damian Lillard his second year, and again, he was a starter and was definitely a budding star, where I think he had like a 5-point game where he was 1 of 15 from the floor. Like, it was an abysmal game. You can find bad games from second-year guys.
And I think, too, Chris, is, I think for what it's worth, circumstances have dictated otherwise. If, like Dame, from day one, Scoot was there was a hole at point guard. I'm not saying, Anthony Simons and other guys, Malcolm Brogdon, weren't, also, deserving of the spot. But just say there was a hole, and it was, hey, kid, this is your spot. The same way they did to Dame, where it was, no matter what. I know that there were a couple guys playing behind Dame, but mostly veteran guys, and the keys were given to Dame. That wasn't quite how Scoot's development has been, so you got to kind of expect an up and down, development path, I would think.
Absolutely. All right. Timmy says, what's your shirt size? I'll bring you a shirt from SmackDown. Bring it down to Media Row. I'm an XL for anyone who wants to buy me some shirts. I would gladly take a Yeet shirt or anything. Or an OTC. I like hey, especially next home game is also AAPI night, right? Shout out to my Poly Pride. So get me one of those OT T-shirts with the Polynesian symbols, match my tattoo. Yeah, you're going to climb up my friends list, my man. All right, we got to take a break here, though. We're going to run out of time. Coming up next, it is our keys to the game right here on Blazers Game Day, presented by Coors Light on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you, having some fun. Shout out to everyone in the YouTube chat. How about that Raw on Netflix? That was pretty fun. Hulk Hogan getting booed out of the building was hilarious, especially when you saw the look on his face real time and he did not expect it. Kind of funny to me. Kind of funny to me. Also, gosh, Fightful has a really, really good Rhea Ripley / Undertaker headline. I'm not even going to repeat it here, but just go look it up. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. But Brenden, we're running up against it, my man. It is time for our keys to the game. All four quarters and doing it well. And they played him. They played him. I'll tell you that. It's just the assists were so good in that game. It was shocking that they lost because it was a season high, and you're sitting there going, "Oh, whoa, they can actually move the ball." They had 32 assists against the Pistons and just 16 turnovers. They need to replicate that again tonight against the Pelicans because that made the offense fun and made a good scoring balance between everybody outside of Scoot, who had a bad game that we already talked about, right? But they need to get the assist numbers back up. They had a 24 assist game last time they beat the Pelicans with just 15 turnovers. Now, the 24 assists is not, anything super good or great or anything, but it's nice. And then they kept the turnovers down. They're going to need to do that again. Excuse me. They had 25 assists in that one. But you're going to need to get the assists up, keep the turnovers down, and you can beat this Pelicans team. And last time, too, they dominated on the glass, absolutely dominated on the glass. And they're going to be able to do that tonight again with Brandon Ingram out, who led the team in rebounding last time they matched up. Zion Williamson not playing. Trey Murphy's out. Like, they have some guys who are really good on the glass who are hurt. And so if you're the Blazers, you need DA to have a great game. If Donovan Clingan plays, need him to have a great game. It's likely that Robert Williams might get a run here. They need to absolutely clean the glass. Now, in that last game when they won 125-103, they out-rebounded the Pelicans 51-39. And again, with the injury bugs the way they are tonight, sets up very, very well for the Blazers to do that again. Crash the glass. Get on it. Have some fun. And then third, this one is not something that's going to show up in the box score, but I really, really, really want to see this team move around. I'm so tired of watching basketball with guys sitting in the corner. This team has been his absolute best when the whole team's moving, ball's moving around, people are running off ball screens, getting open, getting shots. That's what I want to see. And I want to see Scoot have an opportunity to maybe find Ant in those situations, find Sharp in those situations, obviously get a few more points. Do those things, you're going to have a pretty good game. Timmy Hammock chimes in. He says, I saw that Clingan is out. My fantasy app says Clingan is out. Last we checked, we can get to see if there has been an update, but he was listed as questionable, out for rest. And so it's likely that he probably will be out due to the rest. We'll see if there has been an update. And there has been an update, like literally just now. Injury update, Donovan Clingan is out for tonight's game. Denny Avdia is available. So there you go. There is your official update on Donovan Clingan. So, yeah, Robert Williams and DA will have to clean the glass tonight. What else we got going on? Let's see. He says an XL OTC or Yeet shirt will be in your possession Saturday. If they have them there, that's that you're way too kind. Yeah, you can get me whatever, and I will Venmo you. 90% of the cost. The 10% is a gift. Right? That's how that works. Right? No, you got me a gift. I'll give you 90% of it. You give me 10. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. You filthy animals. You guys are awesome, though. You guys are absolutely awesome. What else we got? You got watch those fantasy apps, man. Take people out when you. Oh, shout out fantasy too. Thanks to the world for letting Saquon Barkley sit that last game. It allowed me to come from behind and win my fantasy football league. Champions, winners get sprinkles, as Justin would say. But we're gonna get out of here. Music means it's time to go, but don't go anywhere. Waiting over there in Studio C, Chad Doing has your Blazers pregame show across the Trailblazers audio network coming up in about 4 minutes' time. And then 5 o'clock tip-off, Blazers Pelicans right here on Rip City Radio. And then after the game, it's the 5th quarter right back here where hopefully we're breaking down a Trailblazers victory. We will talk to you after the game.